Elizabeth Warren announced her presidency for 2020, and the whole Native American fiasco really backfired, and it's really going to plague her campaign amongst Republicans. Amongst Democrats, it won't really make much of a difference, but amongst Republicans, it's seriously going to be the main line of attack. Even when they don't have real substantive responses, that's what they are going to defer to. So we've seen Charlie Kirk make cringe 1024th jokes that nobody laughed at, and so he had to repeat it. But Donald Trump responded to this. This is a really shitty tweet that I'm gonna have to talk about. And the thing is that Trump does so many things that are despicable and condemnable that it's really hard to focus on one, and it's really difficult to sort of highlight one because you're in such a shit, like there's so much shit being thrown at you that it's hard to focus on one because there's so much other shit. You know what I mean? That's what this is. So he sent out a tweet saying, "Today Elizabeth Warren, sometimes referred to by me as Pocahontas, joined the race for president. Will she run as our first Native American presidential candidate, or has she decided that after 32 years this is not playing so well anymore? See you on the campaign trail, Liz." So if you see there, trail is in full caps, obviously because he's referencing the Trail of Tears, which this is legitimately the shittiest thing I've seen in a while. I was pretty appalled by this tweet because it's one thing to make fun of somebody for, whatever, faking, whatever, whatever your thoughts are on it. Okay, fine, whatever. It's another thing to start making fun of the serious shit that has happened to groups of people. So here's how I'm going to try to give you sort of an analogy. If you really are somehow, I don't even know how this is possible, but let's say for some reason you're unable to understand how horrifying this tweet is. Think about it like this. Let's say it's somebody who claimed to be Jewish, but it turned out wasn't Jewish. And then Trump makes some sort of a joke about, gassing or ovens or whatever, some sort of a joke like that from the President of the United States. Okay? You are no longer making light of Elizabeth Warren. You are now making light of the Trail of Tears, which is a horrifying black mark on the United States of America. I believe it was like 16,000 plus Native Americans who were expelled from their land, and they were forced to leave, basically on kind of like a death march almost. And I believe 2 to 8,000 of them died on this march. So this is a horrifying thing that's a really big black mark on the United States of America. And Donald Trump is making light of this as some sort of a joke, which is insane, dude. I can't honestly believe. Think about it like this, dude. There's still a team, and this really, just sort of befuddles me. I can't believe it. I can't comprehend it. There's still a team that's called the Washington Redskins, dude. Like, that is the equivalent of just having a team, like, named the N-words. Like, that's insane, dude. There's a team called the Washington Redskins. You're talking about making fun of the Trail of Tears from the President of the United States. The Native Americans were, horrifyingly ravaged, genocided by the United States, but they were taken advantage of, not just by the United States. I mean, if you read history, they were colonized by the Spanish. Really were the worst towards them, whether they were enslaving them and just doing crazy shit to them. But all countries ended up colonizing them. Some were less worse than others. Like, my understanding was France wasn't as bad as like Spain, which were just straight savages towards them. But they're essentially genocided by the United States. There's still a team called the Washington Redskins. And you now have the president making fun of the Trail of Tears. How shitty can this country continue to be towards Native Americans? Like, can it possibly get worse? You're talking about an elected president of the United States making light of the Trail of Tears. And by the way, something interesting that a thought process that I had is a similarity. There's a similarity between the Trail of Tears and the Armenian genocide, because a shit ton of Armenians were killed on this literal death march where, they would be forced to walk until basically death. And I think there were even like firing squads and shit. This was just on a lower scale where they expelled them, and then they're, basically walking to their death. It's similar, just on a smaller scale. So if any Republican is to defend this, just keep in mind that, if they're one of those dudes talking about the Armenian genocide and Cenk Uygur, just keep that in mind. But this is a horrifying tragedy that is something it's not funny, and it's really, really fucked up for the President of the United States to be making. I'm still trying to comprehend the idea of a President of the United States, right? The highest office in the land, the most powerful position in the world, making fun of one of the biggest black marks on the United States history. It's crazy, dude. Another thing is interesting thing is Hitler actually got his idea for concentration camps from what the Americans did to the Native Americans, to what the settlers did to the Americans, to the Native Americans. So, fucking giving them chicken pox ridden blankets and shit, and putting them on reservations and all this crazy shit. Hitler, and he actually had gotten his inspiration for that. That's where he had gotten the idea for those concentration camps. Absolutely insane, man. I can't believe this.